in the backyard today. I was contemplating going to the park, but I wanted access to all of my weights. I plan on doing some landmine squats and stuff, so if I go to the park, I can't do that kind of stuff. And even though I try to keep my legs involved uh, when I'm working out outside the gym, uh, I don't really get to load it that much because of the amount of weights that I have. Um, so I will do landmine squats, but it's still like I should probably consider going to the gym one of these days so that I can do the sled and landmine squats or heavy landmine squats. In any case, warming up with alternate 10 to 2 single arm steel mace swings. I'm going for 10 each side. And then with the kettlebell, I'm going to do 10 alternate swings, or 5 on each side. I'm gonna superset these two back and forth to warm up. Uh, a few people have asked about what mace to buy if they're first getting into mace or steel mace style training. I personally started off with a 7-pound one, and I think it was good that I started light because so when I first started swinging the mace, I would kind of do it awkwardly, where I would like bring it here and then try to force its way up. And the key to the mace is kind of being able to loosen yourself and kind of shift your body and let the like those that counterbalancing process work so that you can that counterbalancing process work to your favor so that you can bring the mace to where you want to bring it. But being in this awkward position with a heavier weight, especially if it's not a range of motion that you're used to, is going to feel a lot more sketchy than with a lighter one that you know you can handle. So, if you're deciding between going for a 15-pound one or a 7-pound one, I would recommend going for the 7-pound one if you're starting off. And also, like, once you get stronger, it doesn't invalidate the use of this. Like, you can still learn single arm movements with it and use it like I am for like warm-ups and alternate swings like this. And also, if you ever choose to like experiment and figure out some new moves yourself, it's always better to have a weight that you can handle so that you don't put yourself at risk of injury. And once you start getting comfortable, like, definitely feel okay with pushing yourself with the weight of the mace and stuff, but if you're starting off, I would definitely recommend the safer route. Like, whenever I swing the kettlebell, I just automatically want to juggle it. But yeah, I'm gonna do this to warm up and then on to the main workout. So I guess second set of movements. Going to do landmine squats. So going to keep both my hands like in the middle and stay on my toes and kind of like push against the landmine, and then all the way down and squat. Full knee bend, staying on my toes the whole way through. There was a spider and it was trying to get down. Sometimes I leave my stuff lying around and then spiders build webs on it, and then when I pick stuff up, I guess I displaced them. So supersetting that with, this is a mosquito, and supersetting this with kettlebell hold curl to presses. So going to hold my 35-pound kettlebell in one hand and do curl to press with the 25-pound one. Going for 7. Switching sides. Going to use my spare kettlebell as a weight on the landmine so that I can go heavier. Not taking too long between sets, keeping sort of a rapid pace but with a small rest. Yeah, and this is my third set. I think when doing landmine squats, it's definitely better if you do them with like just your socks or barefoot, or with barefoot shoes that bend, so that you can really plant your toes into the floor and stretch out the toe muscles and get them working while doing the squat. Like keeping the other hand engaged in like a suitcase hold, you're kind of training grip strength, although it's not much, but you're increasing the total number of muscles worked within the exercise, and also the total weight experienced by the body, and both of which seem to increase growth hormone release. So the more weight that your body experiences and the total number of muscles at play during an exercise. And it just makes the movement harder. So yeah, gonna do this for another 2 sets and then on to the next thing. So moving into some overhead landmine squats. Mosquitoes are getting me. So gonna hold the landmine overhead, and pretty much the same movement as last time, staying on my toes. The fact that I'm holding the landmine overhead forces core activation and shoulder stabilizers to work. Going for 8 on each side. Then after that, moving into gorilla rows with the single double tempo. So single, double, and go. I'm going for 5. Gonna repeat these 2 for 2 more sets. So this was my second. Gonna do 2 more and then on to the next thing. So for whatever reason, my microphone stopped working from here on out, which is really annoying because I was making some pretty good points, I thought. In any case, for the next set of movements, I did Steel Mace 360 drop set. So I started off with 6 reps on each side with the 25-pound steel mace. Then followed it up with 10 reps on each side with the 15-pound steel mace. Kind of trying to do a drop set with, a drop set is when you do a heavy weight for a certain number of reps or go to failure, and then you lighten the load and then go to another set of reps or till you hit failure. Usually that sort of Rep scheme is used by bodybuilders, but why not do it for a steel mace 360 kind of setting? So just thought I'd do that and rack up the volume with 360s. And then to finish off, I did alternate, well, not alternate, single arm 360s with the 7 pound steel mace with drop. Did that for 10 each side. Um, yeah, pretty much keeping the same systems working, but in a drop set fashion, racking up a lot of volume within one set and getting all the associated muscles pretty exhausted. After this, I will move into a kettlebell movement, but we'll have to wait for that. You know, it's kind of interesting. Without any sound effects of the steel mace moving around and stuff, uh, like watching the video isn't really fun because I'm watching it right now, and you know, it would definitely be quite boring uh, if the like even if it wasn't me talking, if you could just hear the sound effects of the workout, that would improve the viewing experience, in my opinion. In any case, with the kettlebell, doing alternate deadlifts to rows, going for 5 each side. The load isn't heavy at all for this movement, but pretty much the idea was just keep the heart rate going and the muscles working with an additional movement that required the full body to be engaged. Did I think 4 sets of that, or maybe five, and then after that moved into another steel mace movement. So for the next set of exercises, I did steel mace 360s to a squat with the 25 pound steel mace. So usually when I do like any kind of squat with the steel mace, I usually drop the mace's head down, like either to the side and do like a Cossack squat, or straight down, and I just call it a drop squat. Or sometimes I rest the head of the steel mace on my shoulder. You will notice that in this variation, what I'm doing is holding the steel mace back in the center position at which from which I usually swing, and this forces the forearms and biceps to stay activated in order to maintain like a center of balance of the steel mace so that it doesn't move uh, too far ahead and too far back. You will notice on this particular rep I pull it with too much force, and as a result it pulls me off course and then I have to drop it. So uh, that's an indication of how much the stabilizers and stuff have to be at work in order to keep the steel mace in the right position. It really engages the forearms quite a bit, and yeah, I think one of the underrated aspects of the steel mace is that it is a very forearm intensive exercise, because the whole time you're keeping your I guess, is it the brachioradialis or something? It might be. It's whatever that forearm muscle is going on the interior side of your hand, that stays engaged the whole way through. And then finishing off with some alternate double-handed 360s and single-handed 360s. Uh, I kind of like this movement because as it's rotating uh, on the same way, you get like a slightly additional momentum with the one hand. So like when you go from the two hand to the one hand, there's slightly like this fluid momentum going into the single hand variation, which seems to pull at the shoulder joints in a way that I like. After I did that for about 4 to 5 sets, and then after that, I moved into some juggling. This is where I would usually be juggling and chatting, and uh, in between the chats, you would hear the sound of metal hitting fingertips and flesh, and I don't know. That's uh, when I watch my videos back sometimes, just the sound of my fingers touching the kettlebell kind of, like it sounds like flesh hitting something like metallic. Uh, it doesn't hurt as bad as it sounds, but if it is caught in an awkward position, it definitely does hurt. Definitely jammed my fingers a few times. In any case, while juggling, one of the points that I was uh, that came to mind that I guess is worth sharing right now is the concept of, I think, impact or impulse training, one or the other or both. So, pretty much, the body has a capability of absorbing shock. So, that could be in the form of landing from high surfaces, or like throwing a ball. So, like when you throw a ball, you quickly snap at the elbow and like release, and you're trying to generate as much like torque and that snappy explosiveness going from the shoulder into the elbow into the wrists. And uh, it is noticeable in baseball players or any other sport that requires that sort of whipping motion, where the shoulders are incredibly powerful, but they also end up in very like a lot of players in those kind of sports end up with elbow and shoulder injuries and stuff like that. So I first came across this concept of training impact or impulse from this Instagram page, DAC Performance. Uh, he had come on Mark Bell's Power Project podcast, and in that, he talked about the idea of training connective tissue. So, in the sense that you can not only train your muscular tissue to get stronger and bigger, but if trained appropriately, uh, your connective tissue could get stronger as well. Probably not at the same rate as that of muscle fibers and stuff, but they can definitely get stronger and thicker. And the way he would accomplish this was he had this device that could be plate loaded, and then he would attach a resistance band looking thing to it, and he would make like these sudden uh, jerking motions that uh, like pretty much cause like an impact sort of stimulus into the shoulders or the wrists or whatever he was trying to work. Sometimes he would come up with all sorts of interesting movements. Yeah, if you guys have some time, check out DAC Performance Instagram page. You'll find like if at first glance some of the things might appear silly, but uh, he's an experimenter, and I think the only way to discover things is to experiment and not be too bound to what is already known, and instead try to think outside the box. Yeah, and that doesn't mean everyone has to think outside the box, but thinking outside the box shouldn't be frowned upon, because that is the way to discover new things. In any case, the reason that I bring that up is with kettlebell juggling, a lot of it like that impact impulse training seems to um, like sort of be applicable, though that is not the reason that I am kettlebell juggling. It just so happens to be that kettlebell juggling seems to require my body to like absorb a lot of impact uh, in those kinds of ways. So like each time the kettlebell goes up and I catch it, it's like, although it's 25 pounds, it's falling from a certain height and spinning, and so it like kind of tugs, that feeling of tugging or yanking on the joints, and uh, apparently that, like, if done with uh, appropriate amount of load and not like overly loaded. So definitely, if you get like a yank that's very major with a like a super heavy weight or something, that's how you get injured. But like, you won't get injured if it's like 1 pound worth of force or 2 pound worth of force. And so the idea is to like progressively overload even that system, the system that's involved in like absorbing impact. In any case, with all these moves that I do in kettlebell juggling, a lot of time it's uh, like each time I catch it in all these different ways, there are little pulls and tugs on my joints, and if the AC performance is right, then it should help train my connective tissue. And all that being said, I don't like, my joints feel pretty good. I'm more mobile than I've ever been. So yeah, take that for what it's worth. In any case, we're approaching the end of the video. I have jiu-jitsu class tomorrow, and there may or may not be a video day after, or this video comes out tomorrow. So yeah, there may not be a video tomorrow, but we'll see if I record anything. I do have jiu-jitsu class, and yeah. So yeah, see you all tomorrow maybe.